What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 291. Before we get into the episode and some business, I want to say thank you for our sponsor for today's episode. It's Easy Money Vintage, of course. The man, you can go check out his shop over here on 34th. Man, and I can't say enough about him. I think right now he's asking you guys to give him a review, give him a 5-star review on Google if you would. That would greatly help him. But yeah, I think he's got a 20% off on all hats as of today. It might end today, so sorry about that. But also, right now, we're changing things up on social media. Sorry about that. I'm moving everything towards a more centralized account. So it'll be called Snake Pit Studios. And then where we'll post everything, the Lords of Film account, the Lords of Film content, the Breaking Hyman content, the Big Pink Pee Show content, as well as the Snake Pit Rattlesnake Roy content, all will be at Snake Pit Studios official Instagram account. I switched that from the Snake Pit Rattlesnake Roy to Snake Pit Studios. So if you're already following it, it'll be transferred. If you haven't, go follow it. And then this podcast itself will have its own separate page from now on as well. I will put all the links in the bio. So yeah, go check out all these great folks. If you're in town October 19th, don't worry, it's not going to rain. T's and P's. So come out to Fools and Ghouls October 19th from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. And come have some fun and dance with us and do other things as well. Also coming out, also happening October 30th is the Lords of Film collab with Cactus Theater. They will be hosting the Frankenstein movie the day before Halloween on Wednesday. So that's a $7 ticket. Come support these people. Shout out to my Pookie Helisoft for a great month and doing these great things. She has worked very hard and would like to see all y'all support her. She deserves everything coming her way, all the flowers, all the greatness. So, if anything, just tell her great job and come support her. They'll also have shirts. Fools and Ghosts will have shirts, and Lords of Film will also have shirts. I'm not supposed to say that, but we'll see if anybody actually really listens. Our guest today is Mr. Zeke Arroyo. He is, I found out about him because he hit me up, but I was really interested in his cycling. He's a cyclist and an endurance athlete, and he does fucking hundreds of miles on the bike and everything like that. So it was a really good conversation. I had a good time talking to him about what all goes into that and just the lifestyle. It's nothing. There's no secret to it. You just gotta do it. If it takes you if you can only bike 1 mile a week, then do that until it gets to 2, till it gets to 4, till it gets to 60. So there's no secret formula out there. You just got to put in the reps, and that's really the message of this podcast. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you guys, and we will see you.
Welcome to the Snake Pit.
I feel there is a storm coming. I don't want to fight. I don't want the attention, but I do want to make this podcast something great. If I'm going to tell the truth and get persecuted for it, so fucking be it. It's war. If they came knocking at your door over a tweet, at that point it's war. Oh my goodness. It legitimately has been, I want to say since May, that we've all been in the same room for Snake Pit.
I feel honored, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I took it out of my bio. I was like, I guess I'm not part of it. I'm just a host of Lords of Film.
What the fuck? Just because we were doing it on Saturdays because it's been hot as fuck.
Yeah, I'm like, you're going to, but I'll too.
All right, well, we're just going to edit her out of this whole fucking episode. No, but we're here with Zeke, man. What's going on, brother? Thank you for being here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
You want to move that mic closer to you? There you go.
Can you hear me better?
There we are.
Okay. Sorry, man. This is my first podcast. So just coach me through it.
We're just having a conversation. Just make sure they can hear you.
Just be you.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for having me on, bro. It's cool. I like your page, and it's been interesting kind of seeing all the different people you have on and kind of where they come from in life. So
that is the best part of it. I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
I talked to a guy, I think it was last week. He deals guns here in Lubbock, Texas.
Oh, wow.
That was an interesting one.
Does he own like a shop, or he just like does it?
Well, technically he builds guns
Oh yeah.
and he buys and sells them out of his house.
Oh, that's
Ooh,
cool.
is that legal?
Yeah, he's full. He's registered. He's got like permits to carry automatic weapons.
Yeah.
He's fully FBI, everything.
Yeah, it's like a pretty rigorous process to do that because you gotta like apply for a class 3 license, and the FBI knows where you're at. Anytime you're selling guns, I think for like a profit, they make you like go through the whole process.
All that was crazy to hear, but he does it out of his house, which was wild. Like, because I was like, "Can I tell him where you do it?" He was like, "Yeah, they're gonna get shot if they come in my house." I'm like, "Fuck, all right, well, yeah, it is."
Yeah, man.
I was thinking about that. How cool it is to podcast.
Yeah, man, you get to meet all kinds of different people for sure.
Yeah, some of them suck. Sometimes they end up being shitty people,
Yeah.
which is fucking sucks.
Yeah, that's like most people. I feel like not everybody's, great.
I don't even just mean like he's an asshole. I mean like he does bad things. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? You never know, man.
Yeah, man. Life's long, so people change.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm interviewing them now. We're all like 20s and 30s.
Oh yeah.
Who knows what the hell's gonna happen?
Yeah, life's short, but then it's long at the same time. Yeah, because you're like, it seems like it goes like that, and then it,
Yeah,
But we're like the same age, so it seems like it's I don't know, like we graduated high school and stuff not that long ago, and then all of a sudden we blink our eyes and we're like, 27, 28 years old. And
Yeah, I was just reflecting on this because we have another guy who does a podcast now. Check it out, Breaking Hyman podcast. He's 43. And I was thinking, like, he's lived double the life I've lived.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even feel like I became a human until, like, I started doing this,
Yeah.
being honest. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't become aware
Yeah.
till, like, 5 years ago.
Yeah, and it's like crazy how much you grow from like, from like 22 to like 25 or something like that. Because you talk to a 22-year-old now or something. You're
God
kind of like, man,
bless.
he's just a kid, right?
Yeah.
And then you realize like people that are in their mid-30s, they look at us and we're just kids, So.
Yeah. So I do hair. So it's like sometimes like you can find common ground with a lot of people, whether it's like through like music or movies or whatever. And like you're kind of talking to somebody. And then there kind of hits a point in that conversation where it's just like, you're a child. You're straight up a child. And they're like 22 or something. Or like, even like an 18-year-old now. I'm like, they're so adolescent. You know what I mean? Speaking to them and the way they interpret the world and how they're going to navigate through their life. I'm like, yeah,
I find that
go
shit
for it.
interesting.
Yeah.
We went out. When was it? Not too long ago. After the bars, we went to Whataburger.
Yeah.
What were we doing that day?
That was your live show.
Oh, it was my live show. After the live show, we went to Whataburger and all those tech kids. I was like, God, they look so fucking young.
Yeah.
I hated to think like that, but I'm like,
They're
so
all like in Shein tops and they have like the shittiest glitter and they're all frizzy. And I'm like, ugh, they're just children.
like we're all still young here. All of us, we're still young.
Yeah.
But I'm like, damn, I felt old here.
Yeah, but remember when you were like that age, like
No, I was insufferable.
Yeah, we thought we were like
No,
adults.
truly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was a man when I was 21, and then I look at a 21-year-old, like, you're just a kid.
I think about that. Like, I can't believe anybody was my friend back then.
Yeah.
I was such a shitty person.
Yeah,
Talk about
retroactive
shitty
cringe.
people. I was worse than cringe. I was just an asshole. I was like, I just cared about drinking. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But, yeah,
Man, I never forget when I turned 25. My brother told me, "Well, you're halfway to 50, so you better step it up." I was like, "Oh shit!"
it's a weird thing.
Now
to
it's
think about,
20. Now for me, it's 20 years till I'm 50.
huh? 20 summers.
Yeah.
Think about it like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have the same birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I turned 28 on Saturday, so.
That's funny. A lot of people were on my.
The guy Morgan was talking about his birthday Saturday too.
Yeah.
Or it was Saturday.
August the 31st.
No.
That's cool.
It's
Yeah.
Ricky's birthday too.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck
And
are
then
y'all's
her
parents
boy.
doing?
And then her boyfriend has the same birthday too.
See, told you.
Yeah.
I know
You know
about-
what this all is? New Year's. Y'all's parents fucked up on
Pretty
New
much.
I
Year's,
hate
New
that
Year's
I-
Eve
Pretty
for
much.
Christmas.
I hate that I know when I was conceived because I was born in November. And my mother was 15, so yeah, I know what day I was.
It was probably snowy as shit. They were stuck in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God. That's crazy though. A lot of people's birthdays.
Yeah.
Are you excited about
Mid-90s.
this weather? Because I'm very interested to talk to you about what you're. What are you, like a cyclist? Like
Yeah. I don't. You always get that feeling where you don't want to call yourself something because you get
Yeah,
that,
like a podcaster?
Yeah. You get like a imposter syndrome. Like where you're like you don't feel like you are, even though like if somebody else views you, they view you that way. So, but yeah, I got into endurance sports probably about like a year ago, and so I guess I'll like start from the beginning. So, in 2023 of February, I went to New York with my parents and I like saw a picture of myself and I was like the biggest I had ever been in my life. And so I was like I was like 220, like 225, almost 230. And so like right now I'm coming in about 165. And so I decided that I was like, you know what, like I'm just gonna lose weight, do as much as I can and get healthy. And so and I've always kind of like battled with being chunky and stuff my whole life. And then for some reason I guess it just clicked, in my head. And so, yeah, I lost about 65 pounds. And about a year ago, like last July, I started doing endurance sports. I was going to the gym and get on the elliptical for like an hour and a half. And then it turned into like an hour 45. And then I'd go lift weights and do push-ups and stuff. So I'm like, well, I'm already working out for 2 hours. Why don't I try something else? And so I ended up buying a bike because my dad cycled when I was a kid. So I was like, probably like 8 or 9, and he started cycling. He was a big Lance Armstrong fan and stuff. So he in his 40s, and so I was like, well, my dad used to cycle. Like, why don't I try it? And so I bought a bike and completely fell in love with it, man. And so it just kind of, it's been history, I guess, since then. But yeah, I've in that year, I've completed like 2 century rides, which are like 200-mile races.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I have a third one here in like a couple of weeks. Here on the 14th of September, I have my 3rd century, and then I also completed a marathon in April. So
you did a whole turnaround.
Did you do the mayor's marathon in April?
No, I did the Oklahoma City marathon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
The full?
Yeah, I did the full.
So you went from 230 to running marathons like that.
Yeah, man, in like a little over a year. So yeah, it just clicked, but it really wasn't working out. It was like 85% just nutrition and food, just understanding. How to eat, and I don't know if it's because I'm more mature now and stuff like that, but it kind of clicked, man.
Well, you're a science guy too. You work at the
well, yeah.
I think you talk about your job too, but
yeah. So I work at the Health Sciences Center and I do research and stuff like that. So and I've always kind of been like somebody that likes to research stuff and look into stuff, and but yeah, I just kind of it just clicked. So I kind of did a little bit of research on my own, and I started out like, I didn't know everything or I didn't research everything, and then I started losing weight. Like I just kind of started one week and kind of learned as I went, and so I started doing the like typical like, oh, I'm gonna eat healthy, and, I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna do that, or I'm gonna cut back, and and so really the biggest thing that kind of clicked in my head was like the caloric deficit. You'll hear like a lot of guys like talk about, and it's like a big thing now, and it's always been like a big thing, but if your body only uses a certain amount of calories a day, right? And if you eat less than that, then you'll lose weight. If you eat more, then you'll gain weight. It's
kind of funny because it's like you see all these like hacks of like do these compound movements or just do this diet, but it's just calorie deficit. That's really all it is.
So
yeah,
these crackheads are acting a fool. Let's pause real quick because this damn whatever the fuck's going on out there. They have been acting crazy lately.
Yeah, I almost died yesterday. Yeah, because of this nonsense that's going on out here. I swear a cop almost tried to push me into oncoming traffic. Not like physically, but like in my car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I literally was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do.
I've been seeing a lot of that too. Cops just fucking
zooming.
Yeah.
You remember that when we left Woodrow's? Those
that was
helicopters.
Weird. That
those
was
cops.
fucking weird.
That was weird.
There were some cartels at Woodrow's.
There was like SWAT team at Woodrow's one night. It was crazy.
Like there
crazy.
were cops going up to people, like talking to people, and at the end, like they were like dabbing at the cops. Like, the fuck's going on? And then we go out there, and there's cops lined up.
Oh my god, it's
outside.
like Trap, but at Woodrow's.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look outside, there's like a police helicopter just circling.
And our dumbass friend thought it was for him. the fuck are you doing?
He's like, I gotta get out of here. He's like, can I follow y'all wherever y'all go? And we went to Whataburger. So he just
went to Whataburger.
It's a
So
spot,
like
bro.
whenever you started getting into like weight loss and like how you said like you were doing like an hour and then an hour and a half, an hour 45, was it hard for you to kind of find that kind of endurance, or was it just kind of one of those like, because I mean I would assume you kind of hit this milestone around like the age of 25, 26 that you like clicked.
Well, actually, it was like, around 26.
So I had that same kind of click when I was about 26, 27. And I went from being like not active at all to all of a sudden being like, I have to go run. I have to do it. Like I just kind of became this discipline kicked or whatever. And that same year I started like running long, increments of miles and stuff like that. And I never knew I had the endurance. I always wonder kind of like, did you feel like you had to build the endurance, or do you feel like it was one of those like, I just have to, like, I just have to go. I have to make it work. It doesn't hurt that bad. It's not that hard, or,
Yeah, I always kind of felt like even when I was heavy, I always worked out. So I kind of like already had that like base. And so I would kind of work out because I like wanted to eat or wanted to do something, or, I wanted to, because I've always like wanted to lose weight. And so I kind of would always go and do an hour on the elliptical, or, 45 minutes or something like that. I go lift weights. But I think what really clicked this time that had never clicked before was the food.
food.
Yeah, just the diet 100%. I mean, because when people say that you can't like exercise a bad diet, that's 100% true.
Oh yeah.
And so like, because what I do is I just do the math, and it's just simple thermodynamics, right? So if you find out what your basal metabolic rate is, right, your BMR, and you can like look up a BMR calculator on on the internet or something like that, and so you just see, okay, at my current weight and my height, at my age and with my gender, what it takes 2,500 calories to, to sustain my current body weight. So I take 500 calories off of that. 500 calories 7 days in a row is 3,500 calories. 3,500, and 3,500 calories is 1 pound of fat. So if you're in a 500 calorie deficit 7 days in a row, that's 1 pound. And so if you just play that math game, every day, and you can either eat 500 calories less or you can work out 500 calories less, you just have to know how much you're intaking. So I think that's what really, really clicked for me, was just the food. And that's what I tell people, because people, ask me, they're like, hey, how do you lose weight? Or I want to lose weight and do this. I'm like, at first don't focus like on, what you're eating or how you're eating. Just eat whatever you want. Just make sure just focus on how much you're eating.
That's my problem. How much I eat.
Yeah. I mean, people, it doesn't matter if you eat. And the other thing too is people will gain weight and they don't think that they're eating that much because they're not eating that much. They're just eating calorically dense stuff.
Which is American diet, huh?
Yeah. I mean, and I think, because everybody talks about the United States and all kinds of stuff like that. And I think the reason is basically because of portion control.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, our portions are huge, and, which isn't bad, in a lot of things, but, it's just being
number one, baby.
I mean, you look at like what like a serving size of rice is, and then you look at a Chipotle bowl, and it's like 3 or 4 times the amount.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Or like what a serving size would be of like a normal amount of meat, and then you're eating like double or triple of that. You know what I mean?
5 times that.
Yeah.
I see what my sister eats because she does that. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
No, I mean, you'd be surprised how filling it is.
And I've been to Europe, and like in Europe, because they talk about, you have processed foods and this and that. And really, I mean, like, yeah, some of the preservatives that we use here are illegal over there, but a lot of the preservatives they use over there are illegal here, And so their food really isn't better than ours because it's a little bit fresher in certain degrees, but it really isn't better. And there's fat people over there too, but it's just like when you go to a restaurant, you order a plate of food and it's just as expensive as it is here. One thing, you don't tip over there, but you get a tiny amount of food, And so really, I think that's just what separates like our country from it. But we're not the only country that really has obesity.
Mexico.
Yeah.
Did you go to Italy?
Yeah. So actually,
Yeah, we're gonna go there in March.
Oh, really? Where are you guys going?
Venice, Florence,
Venice, and Rome.
and Rome.
Yeah, I've been to Florence, Venice, and Rome. I went to Venice this last time that I went, but I went like in the winter. Or I went in March earlier this year, and it was cold and like rainy.
Damn it.
Oh,
That's when we're
nice.
going.
I was in Florence for like 4 hours because I took a day trip from Rome, but I spent the majority of the time in Italy, in Rome. So
Would you say the majority of your time in Italy was kind of colder?
no, actually, because I went the first time when I went to Italy, I went in like October, and so it was actually kind of decently warm. And then, but it was like cool in the morning.
It would warm up through the day.
Yeah, and it would warm up throughout the day when I went in October. When are you guys going?
In March.
Yeah, in March.
Okay, yeah, so it's gonna be a little cooler.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because my worst nightmare is like I hear about how the Europeans don't fucking use AC.
Oh yeah, they don't. That's 100% true.
Yeah. And so I'm like, that's the first. I don't care where I'm at. I'll be pissed off if I'm hot.
Oh yeah.
I'll get pissed.
It's gonna be a little. I mean, because I was in the Orly Airport in Paris, and it's like 75 degrees. It's hot, and I'm like sweating, and all the Europeans in there with like sweaters and jackets and the whole airport smells like armpit because
No, dude, I bet that's what I'm scared of because like they don't have running AC anywhere, so I'm prepared for myself to just be like slightly like irritated everywhere I go.
But the thing is, it's kind of different because you open the windows and it like here in West Texas, you open your window, your entire house smells like dirt, and it's like
cow shit and wind.
Yeah, it's not it's not a great experience, but you open your window there and it's like kind of like fresh air, and so like the Airbnbs and stuff that you have, it'll be kind of stuffy in there the whole time, but you open a window and it's fine.
Yeah, I don't mean to be like this, but my mom, she doesn't fuck around, so she got like a really nice hotel. So imagine they might have AC in this hotel.
I don't know. I stayed in a really nice hotel in like Munich, and the AC didn't work. And I think it's because they have like certain laws. Like when I went to
they have these pussy ass global warming laws and shit.
Well, yeah, like they're not allowed to turn an AC on until I think that temperature rises to a certain degree, and then they have to.
Yeah, so
America rules.
Yeah, when I went to Italy the first time, they have like I was staying in an Airbnb and they had these rules, and he was like, "You can we only turn the AC on from like August to whatever," and basically it ended like a month before we got there, like middle of September, and then he didn't turn it on again until the spring, right? And I was like, yeah, I don't care. So I just turned the AC on because it's like hot, or it's not hot, but we're just not used to, sitting at a 74 degree, like room, which is not comfortable the majority of the time. So, but yeah, but you guys will love it, man. Europe is cool.
Yeah, some do's and don'ts. Tell us some do's and don'ts over there. Just Italy.
Just Italy. Don't trade or exchange money at the airport. Do not. Worst decision that you can ever make. So easiest way to get euros before you go over there, because you need some cash. The majority of the places will take card, but the easiest way is just to go to your local bank, whether it's like Citibank or something, and just order it from there.
Cool.
Yeah, and then the way that they order is a little bit different. So like, so when I went, I didn't realize that they order like a appetizer, and then they order a pasta dish, and then they have like a meat dish, and then they have a, it's like a 4-course meal. So I would go there and I would eat like one thing of spaghetti, and then I was like, man, I'm hungry still, because they don't give you that much. And then, but when you order it in that way, you're like, okay, now I'm walking away satisfied.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also heard that like dinner is just like a little bit different in the sense of like the Europeans, like it's not this like rushed service type of thing, like prepare to like
TikTok.
sit there for like long periods of time, and like the waiters aren't like in a rush to serve you and do everything for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're but at the same time, like if you do want to get in and out, you can.
Oh yeah.
And so like, but yeah, it's like they eat late. They eat like 8 or 9 o'clock, and so it'd be like 9 or 10, and the streets are full with like families and stuff like that. Here in the U.S., I mean, the people eat dinner at like 7. They're home by like 10 o'clock. But it's not like that in Rome. And so, like, there's some really cool areas in Rome that are like, I'll have to look up the exact names and I'll send them to you. But they're like super, it's very much like all the restaurants are on the street and they shut it off, and, there's no cars going through there or anything.
Oh,
and it's just like the
cool.
entire street is just full of people walking around.
It's really fun.
But I got to do it now. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, I'm really excited to go. It'll be my first time out of the States besides going to like Mexico. But yeah, it'll be fun. I'm eager for the food. I'm eager for the art. I think the only thing I truly want to do, not on my own, but like separate from what we're doing excursion wise, I want to try to find a place to get a tattoo. I want to get I just want to collect one. And then I want to go to the catacombs.
Yeah, I didn't do that in Rome, and I wish I would have.
I've always thought that was such an interesting, beautiful church where the monks or whatever did that. So that's my one thing of like, I'm gonna make that happen.
Yeah, you definitely can. The other thing too about like European cities that's like different from here is that like everything's connected by train and it's like super easy to get everywhere. And so yeah, you can just, and you know, you'll take your phone and you know you'll contact your service provider and you'll have internet there just like you do here. So you really won't have to. So what I did is like I have AT&T and I turned on my day pass, my international day pass, and so you turn off your phone when you get there and turn it back on and you're connected to, and so you have your phone to be able to look up. So it's just like when you go to Dallas, you know, you don't know where the local Whataburger is, you look it up, and so yeah. So if you want to like see the catacombs or something, actually TikTok is a great place to be.
I've been kind of starting to like, I have like a little folder on TikTok of like things to kind of like reference and stuff just in case, because we have like a lot of excursions planned, but we have about I think 3 or 4 days throughout the whole trip where we'll kind of have like time to ourselves. But yeah, I feel like that's like one thing that I like most definitely like. That's important to me to go see that. Yeah. I
did the Coliseum is super cool.
We're gonna go do that.
Yeah. You guys should do that. And if y'all have a tour, so we had a private tour, and it was a little bit more expensive, but it was kind of worth the money.
We're doing private tours.
Yeah, it was a small like 6-person tour, and you know, like they take you in and they kind of tell you the history, and then they took us underground because they like if you have gone like before like 2018 or 2019, they didn't have that open. And so the underground now where you can see like where the slaves were at and where they had the elevators, like they have like a remake of an elevator, like in the Gladiator when, you know, they would lift a tiger up or something. They have the trap doors and stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And so, and it's funny because you're inside the, you know, underground the Coliseum, and it's like everything is super industrial, you know? So like the Romans were really practical people. And so they were like, no one's going to see this. We're not going to like make it really nice. So it looks really crude down there. Like they just built it just to stand, and then the outside of it is, you know, marble,
beautiful,
and sculpted. And so, but yeah, so the underground's really cool. And then right there next is Palatine Hill, and so it has like basically like just like entire backdrop of just years of history of Rome, where they have the Roman Forum and stuff like that. And so,
I was telling him the one thing I really want to do in Rome besides our excursions, I want to go to the catacombs.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to do that with me. If not, I guess I'm just going to go try not to get kidnapped and go to the catacombs.
If it's available, I'll go.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Yeah. It's like a little church made by monks, and there's one little girl that's been in there that however they embalmed her. She passed away like in like the early 1900s, but she just never decayed.
Is she canonized?
No, it's not even that. She like it's just they never revealed how anybody embalmed her, but she was donated to the catacombs because she looks like a little doll. I've been following these catacombs since like Scariest Places on Earth on ABC Family.
Yeah, and like it's super safe over there. Like, you kind of realize like once you get over there that like the United States is kind of low key like a really dangerous country.
We live in the 8th most dangerous city in America.
Yeah, it's like it's dangerous here, and so you get over there and you're kind of like, you know, you're like, well, nobody has guns over here, you know, and so you're kind of like it. Which this goes into a whole nother thing. Like I'm not like pro gun law or anything like that, but it changes the dynamic of everything.
Yeah.
And so because their country is just different, so you feel like somewhat relatively safer, and maybe it's just negligence because we don't know like the danger that's over there, and you're just walking around. But it's it's different. So you never feel unsafe when you're in Rome. It's dirty. It's way dirtier than I thought it was going to be.
I do hear that.
We do live in Lubbock, so.
Yeah. Well, Lubbock is like clean compared to Rome. Like,
really?
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's trash everywhere. Of course, it's also an old city.
They don't have like sanitary.
Yeah. It's just like super, super old. And so it's not made to, you know, and the thing is like the way that the city shifted over time, they have like random roads that lead to nowhere. Like, and it's because back in the day that used to go all the way through the city, but people have built over stuff and, you know.
That's pretty crazy to think about. That place has been around for thousands of years, and Lubbock has only been around 120 years, I think.
So you'll realize when you're there like how young our country is, because like you're sitting there and they show you like, because you'll look at this right next to the Coliseum, there's like a arch, and they have like literally just different layers of road, right?
That's
and
really
so you're
cool.
like, and this is thousands of years of history, and so you kind of think, what do we do?
It's almost like sedimentary layers of
so they just
streets.
start building on top of each other, right? And so you can see like, okay, this is this time period, and then 10,000 years later it's here, because they just start building. Because when we have a messed up road here, we don't think, oh, this is history. We think it's a jacked up road, let's build another one. We need a new road. And so you can kind of tell, you're like, man, everything is so ancient here.
Yeah. And I think that is kind of one of the unfortunate things about here is like, obviously we have a very rich history, but we are also very known to tear down and rebuild on top of. You know what I mean? Like instead of like utilizing some of the buildings and shit like that.
We had to do that to the Native Americans, unfortunately. We had to
That's what
destroy
I'm saying.
all of
I'm saying that's really unfortunate.
It
That's
sucks.
literally what I just said.
It sucks.
So
Yeah, it's pretty. Have you guys ever read like Empire of the Summer Moon?
No, I want to though.
Yeah, you should. Like, I audiobook a lot of stuff, so I don't
Those
like
bastards.
Yeah, and it's like, it's super interesting because if you read it from like their perspective, like, and the things that Indians did, it's pretty bad. And one,
the Comanches were horrible.
The Comanches were awful, and just raping and killing whoever they wanted, and like stampeding horses and watching people die of starvation and thirst, while they're 100 yards off laughing, and so it's like, it's a super interesting like dynamic that you see from settlers coming across to Native Americans, and it's
nobody was no better than the other one.
Yeah, it's just very much like the old like Call of Duty saying of like history is written by the victor, and whoever was just
yeah, it's crazy when you go to like older towns here in Texas, like in the central and east, and when there's like the plaque, the beginning always says like after the battle or after the Indian problem or whatever. Like it's crazy to think how, because I told Roy that like Mason, Texas, like that was a line, like there used to be a line straight through Texas, like this side over here, this was all natives back in the day, and then there was just a line that they would just slowly push through, and that's how we got all this land over here. And on top of that, the original, shape of Texas went all the way to Albuquerque and then all the way up to Wyoming. So it's crazy to think how different things were back then with, the conflicts that they talk about. So
the history is just so long, and so
that is the unfortunate thing though. You had to erase that history.
Yeah.
To build what we get to enjoy now.
Yeah. What I think is interesting is how you have one section of people that are tens of thousands of years more advanced than another section of people, same metabolic makeup, same brain, same everything, right? But you have people have developed guns and ships and, and
well, there was no,
the Native Americans still living in the Stone Age.
There was no need for, well, we didn't have that. I don't think we had the ability to develop that here anyways. Yeah. But there was never any need, because I heard about that once about like, they say like Native Americans never developed the will.
Yeah.
Well, they had no need to, they didn't have any animals that could fucking move that will anyway. Yeah. So there's never any need. Yeah. And I always wondered, I remember asking my stepdad this, if they had developed weapons, the Native Americans, would they have invaded Europe? Yeah. If they had the ability to travel the seas with gunpowder and steel. Yeah. Would they have gone to Europe and invaded Europe?
It's always like an interesting thing to me where you kind of think like, you wonder if pockets of people that are isolated are advancing tens of thousands of years. Like, is it possible that, people have been just as advanced as we are now, but they were like an isolated pocket of the world,
Oh, the ones that live underwater?
Yeah, and they never got out. Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, because when you go to Europe and realize like how much, time is in between stuff like that, it's kind of crazy. Like from 200 years ago, using candlelight and flintlock pistols till today is not that far.
Yeah. Even like a unified Italy is new.
Yeah.
There used to be nothing but kingdoms. Yeah. I think post Napoleon it became Italy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super. Yeah. Because when you guys go to the Colosseum, they're like basically their capital or like monument is there, and you'll see it. And it's basically like when Italy became a country.
Did you go to the Vatican?
Yeah, I did go to the Vatican. Vatican's really cool. Yeah.
Are you a Catholic, man?
No, I'm not Catholic. No. But I'm just a Christian Protestant, but I'm not Catholic. But it's gorgeous. I mean, it's. Are you guys Catholic?
Yeah. I guess.
I was born and raised Catholic. I don't practice, but I I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
if I don't agree.
my mom grew up Catholic, and then she converted over to, because my dad grew up like Pentecostal here, like Protestant, and then that's what I grew up in, and my mom like converted over. But when you're there, like they kind of give you the opportunity to like pray and stuff like that if you want, and for the people that are Catholic, and so
Some of the most valuable possessions in the world are there.
oh yeah, it's super, like there's like this statue of like Paul, right? And so like everybody goes and touches it because it's like a like a holy statue, and his foot is completely rubbed solid.
I've seen that.
Yeah, from just thousands of people just touching.
Is it like something you're supposed to do?
No, you don't have to, but some people do. The people that are like super, like they have this one door, because when you walk into the Vatican, they kind of like funnel you through this door, and then there's a side door, and I don't know exactly what the like religious event is, but they only open it like every 100 years, and if you walk through that door, then all your sins are forgiven. And so it's like a thing, but they have it closed. So yeah, there's a lot of like, if you're in the Catholic religion, there's a lot of like super cool.
It'd be cool. I'm excited to go there.
Yeah, the Vatican's really, really cool. And the Sistine Chapel, they'll take you in there.
I really want to see that.
Yeah, it's also it's quiet, because they like make you be quiet when you're in there.
Oh, yeah, it's a place of worship.
Yeah, and you can't take pictures while you're in there either.
That's fine.
Yeah, and so because apparently like the flash like bothers the ceiling and stuff like that, but it's really cool because growing up here in the U.S. and in Texas, we kind of learn about these places, and then you're walking down a random hallway, and they're like, yeah, just going through that door, and you go in, you're like, oh, this is a Sistine Chapel, and so you're looking up at this ceiling, so and then the museum that's next to the Vatican is really, really, really cool. Like you can see all these like old Roman sarcophagi and all kinds of stuff like that.
I was listening, I don't remember what podcast, but they were like, the Catholic Church, they've been around for 2,000 years. They're like the original CIA. So they have like information about the world since 2,000 years ago. So I'm excited to be in that. Yeah, and ask the guides shit about that.
Yeah. The history of the Catholic Church is actually super interesting. I mean, it's like,
we get into
it's so interesting. It's terrifying.
I know
how, basically like it starts with Christianity, as a small religious sect, and then it grows into almost like a government.
They would sacrifice those Christians in that Colosseum, wouldn't they?
Yeah. I think during the 3rd century, Nero, and they had like this huge like Christian scare and stuff like that. And so some of the guides will like address that. And so
I hope we get a good one like that.
Yeah. Some of them will address it, and then the Italians are like very like not super strict about time and stuff like that. So your guide's gonna show up like 15 minutes late to stuff, and
I gotta get my American mindset out of me, because that's gonna fucking bother me.
Yeah, well, it bothered me too, because like I'm on a European trip, and like, I'm
only here for 2 weeks, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the Duomo. I hope we get to scale it. I don't know if your mom booked us just a tour, or if we're actually gonna climb it.
I'll have to ask her. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Duomo's cool. I didn't go inside, but I saw like David, the young Michelangelo David. That's really, really cool. And so, but the food's actually, I'm not a huge Italian food fan.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait. But I guess I like American Italian.
Okay, I'm gonna say something controversial. Is I like American Italian food more than I like Italian food.
This chicken parm was invented somewhere in Missouri. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's here. Yeah. And the thing is, like, you can tell the difference between the Italian food there and the Italian food here. Like, it's gonna be weird. Like, once you eat in Italy, you'll be able to tell the difference between canned and fresh tomatoes, which I never could until I ate there. Because it's like fresh tomatoes taste almost like fideo, like because what they're doing is they fry tomato sauce in oil, which is like what you do when you make rice or Spanish rice or whatever here as Mexicans, So, but you can tell the difference between the fresh and the.
I'm not Mexican, so I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. You're not Mexican?
No.
Oh, really?
No, I'm just kidding. I was gonna run along with that joke. Did you know Caesar salad was invented in Mexico?
Yeah, in Tijuana.
Motherfucker, these guys, I've been lied to my whole life.
Yeah, man. At a hotel.
Is that right?
Yeah. It
was a lot of things were built like at a hotel and shit.
It was a hotel. I had one in Vegas where they like make it in front of you, like a tableside Caesar salad.
Do you like pad thai?
Yeah, I do like pad thai. Mm-hmm.
That wasn't invented until like Vietnam.
I didn't know.
Because Americans went over there and started fucking around with that food and made that. This is bothering me. Yeah. I've been on a history kick lately, so I've been learning all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah, I was a history minor in college, and so I love like history in general. But it's just
What part of history do you like the most?
I don't know. I think I went into like a ancient Rome kick for a while. Like I listened to the entire like Rise and Fall of Rome, which I was like geeking out when I was in Rome because like you see all of the things that you can read about and but I think American history is cool. Like post Civil War really.
That's a wild one.
Yeah, for sure. And then I actually think Russian history is really cool too.
Okay, I'm glad you said this because I have post World War II Soviet, what they did to Eastern Europe. I've gone down a 4-hour podcast.
Yeah.
And I can only listen to 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
I've never ever had.
Oh, you're still fucked up from that one?
What do you mean still? This
I don't
is
know.
like,
You talked about that this morning. I thought you would have listened to it by
I
now.
can't listen to it like thoroughly. It was horrendous. I haven't even finished it. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
What they did to those people.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You realize like, cause you kind of, you learn everything black and white, when you're like learning stuff, you learn like, World War II, the Nazis were bad and and you kind of realize like, they're just people like us, And
that's what this guy does a good job. He like tries to take the perspective of why they did that.
Yeah. I mean, cause you think like, I always say this, like politicians and people that, are in power, really, they're not a lot smarter than we are sitting at this table. They just happen to get there and people are people no matter what. And so it's just kind of interesting because you realize like, same feelings that we have today, the same thing back then. And so, yeah, I've been like on a bubonic plague kick lately, like just kind of like learning about how that transformed Europe and, and how actually they say like the bubonic plague actually flourished Europe because, they were
afterwards.
Because they were at a time where the population had gotten so big, all the resources were super scarce and like social mobility wasn't like very big. And then, half of Europe's population died off. And then all of a sudden there was like, oh, there's all
Is this
more
the
resources.
Renaissance after this, right?
Yeah. The Renaissance happened right after so it like, most people were impoverished and stuff before the plague. And then, peasant workers, when there's half of them, they're like, oh, there's only half of us left. So pay us more. And so they have more money. They could kind of,
move up a little bit.
Yeah, move up. And anytime you have more like stability and
sounds like what they're doing with COVID. Sorry.
Yeah, you have more stability and more more social security. You can learn stuff. Yeah, so make art. You have time when you're not worried about if you're starving.
Where'd that shit start in Mongolia?
No, it's actually started in China, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. And I mean, and their economy back then was very much like ours, world trade and stuff, and so the ports bring it in everywhere, But of course, this is like spread over like a 40-year period. It's coming back every year.
But you gotta realize back then how dirty shit was.
Shit was dirty till like 100 years ago, like 50 years ago.
I mean, it still is, but like I had saw something about like what the American streets look like in New York. Imagine like the way New York is now, but everyone like before cars came, everyone was horse and buggy, so there was just like feces like all over the place,
big shit,
and it was just like caked on top of it, and people had to walk through it. That's just the way it was back then.
I mean, because like people had their chamber pots, right, that you use like when you got to, and so what do they do in the morning? They throw it on the street. We've never been as clean as we are now.
Oh, could you imagine just walking down the street and just?
Can you imagine my shit coming out?
Or like getting in a fist fight or something.
Toxic waste.
Like a duel, like, and then you're like wrestling on the ground, you're like covered.
It's amazing like how women gave birth and I mean a lot of them died actually, but
yeah.
How babies survived. Even the baby like survived. Like you stick in your dirty hand. Like I can
Well, that's how people like white people had like 18 kids or like 8 or 9 kids because you knew you were gonna lose like 2 like when they were young, and so and then people got married back then at like 12 or 13 because the life expectancy was like
so low.
There's a reason I'm about to say what I'm about to say. Did you know the age of consent in Italy is 14?
I did not know that.
That is
That's wild.
Never mind why I know that, but God, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
They got some things right and some things wrong over there, I guess.
Yeah, I think like most places do. I think it's funny, man. When I'm like here in the U.S., I'm like, oh, man, Italy's so great. You can get coffee and espresso. And then when I get over there, I'm like the most American person you've ever met. I'm like, man, like in the U.S. Now the only thing that they have us 100% beat on is trains. We don't have any
I'm
trains
excited
here
for that.
in the U.S. by far my favorite mode of transportation in Europe is trains.
That'd be so badass if we had that shit here. Like you could just.
You can thank lobbyists for that.
I mean, you could.
Oil
Yeah.
lobbyists. Yeah.
But I've also heard that GM was a big part of that back in the day. Like back in the 50s when like Chevy and Ford was starting to mass produce everything because they have the American idea like, well, you could just own your own transportation. And, you know, I mean, it's still like that today. Nice. I mean, it's still like that today. But if they had did the train system, like those car companies wouldn't be as powerful as today.
Which would be pretty nice to board a train and go to Austin for like the weekend and then just come home.
Yeah, the entire country of Italy is connected by high-speed train. You know, you can get on a train in Rome and in an hour you're in Florence.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
You know, and like super nice. But yeah, here in the U.S., we have too many like oil lobbyists, and then we also have too much like private land.
Yeah.
Like to build a train from here to Austin, you know how many private ranches that you would have to like rip up and like people.
We'll just go down the highway where the highway is.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, back then, I guess when they built the highway in the highway system in the 50s, I guess it would have been different. But I don't know. But yeah, you could take eminent domain if you really wanted to. It's not.
Yeah, let's not go down that road real quick.
There's too many people making money off of our current system for them to kind of move it around. You know.
It would be nice.
Yeah.
One of these days, I want to drive from San Francisco to New York.
Yeah.
I want to do like a straight drive from there, like a gumball rally type shit.
Oh yeah.
One of these days. That's a long ass drive.
I remember watching Gumball Rally like on MTV.
She was
like,
awesome, wasn't it?
When like Bam Margera and all those guys were getting in their Lamborghinis and taking off across Europe, man.
Well, Bam did one separately from the Jackass Boys.
Yeah.
They did one.
Yeah.
Because Bam did the US one.
Yeah, Tony Hawk's in that one. I remember we were watching that at work one time when I worked at the bank on a Saturday. And we were like, man, it'd be so badass to take a big ass like 2500 Chevy. But then I thought, hell, I'm sure there's places where that shit won't fit anywhere.
It'd be fun though.
Yeah, but it's crazy how they did it. How like they would ship their cars across seas. I'm sure that I wonder how much they spend like transporting that.
Would you ever take a boat across the sea?
I've done cruises before, like for vacation. Probably not. No. I
like
think
a cargo freight.
They're like a week just on a ship. It would be too much for me, man.
That would make me sick.
Yeah, you know the funny thing is I have real bad motion sickness. Like I can't read in a car without getting sick. But on a ship, it's not that bad for some reason. I think your equilibrium just like gets used to it. So.
Are those cruises worth it? I've never been on one.
Oh yeah, man, they're a lot of fun. Yeah, because they're like kind of relatively cheap too. Like if you do one out of like Galveston or something like that, it's like $600 for like 5 days, hotel, all the food included. You know, stay.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all your expenses come from excursions at your stops.
But alcohol is not included. So like if you're like a drinker, it's like it's real expensive.
I'm a boozer, my friend.
Yeah, because they sell you like packages, and so like you only get like 15 or 16 a day. Or
that's just getting started.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, and I'm not a drinker, so it's just kind of one of the where I like save on money like that. But it's yeah, but they like have to control because you're like on a ship and you can't go anywhere. So like they don't want you getting like too messed up. Yeah, because you know then they have to deal with it.
So you didn't drink out there in Italy?
No, I'm not really much of a drinker. Yeah.
I know they don't drink beer in Italy, so that's gonna be something different.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
Well, never mind.
Yeah, man, they serve beer at McDonald's.
Ooh, buddy! I can't wait to have a beer at McDonald's.
At like 9 in the morning.
There's a McDonald's at our hotel down the street. There's a McDonald's.
Yeah, you can go in there and order from the kiosk, man. They have.
Fuck yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, could you imagine McDonald's?
Well, I'm gonna try it when I'm there.
Well, the thing too is I think like the Europeans are so lax with like their alcohol consumption because they don't really have like an age. Like everybody kind of like is used to it. And I think here in the US, like, you know, like they restrict it so much because of our like Puritan roots and stuff like that. You get people go wild, you know, and so but they're always kind of all drinking. And there's alcohol there too.
Don't they drink like they eat? They just chill.
Yeah, they're super chill. I mean, they're like drinking wine. Like
are they smoking cigarettes out there?
Oh yeah, everywhere. Yeah, everybody smokes cigarettes in Europe.
Only drinking me an espresso, smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
With my cowboy hat on.
Yeah, man, you can get coffee anywhere. I'm a huge coffee
I
fan.
don't like coffee. So
Yeah, I love it's like drinking battery acid, man. But they give it to you like in a little bitty cup, and you're like,
Mhm.
because it's cool because you don't have to like settle down to a whole cup of coffee. You know, it's like a 10-minute, 20-minute like commitment. And this one you just take it, and you're good to go.
I wonder if they sell Zins out there.
I don't know.
I'm about to take a roll with me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure they have a version of it.
Well, Zin's Swedish, so maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I feel like the chewing tobacco is very much an American type of thing.
Well, it's just a nicotine pouch.
Oh yeah, the synthetic nicotine. Yeah,
Is chewing tobacco a thing over there?
I don't know. I didn't.
Like
see it.
have you seen those like videos of people trying to be Americans?
Uh-uh.
Like I've seen a lot of Japanese people trying to do it. I wonder if they just get a whole lot of. They're trying to be cowboys out there, by the way.
Yeah, you know what'll trip you out is if you like, they have like some Japanese people that like love Mexican culture.
Yeah,
and they
that's
like
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they seem like corridos and stuff like that, and
They
it's
got
like
their lowriders.
crazy. Like it's to see like a Japanese guy just speaking Spanish.
He low key looks Mexican.
There's
too.
like
Yeah.
now like Sri Lankans who are like into like East LA culture. It's crazy. Like I saw a video and they look like primos.
That's
Like if I
God
didn't
forbid
know,
I wear something of theirs and they get mad at me over here.
yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, they're like, hey, that's not cool.
Komodo, that's the word I was looking for. Komodo.
Yeah. Yeah, man, but I always want to move to Europe, dude. Especially because like cycling is such a huge like European
that's
sport,
right.
man. Like, and that's where I kind of like got exposed to that type of stuff. Was like my dad was watching Tour de France and stuff like that, and so I love like right now I'm watching the Vuelta, the Tour of Spain,
Mhm.
and so of course that's like a major sport.
Is this
Like,
something you want to do, like a race like that?
so here in the U.S. they have like it's called USAC, USA Cycling. So like the guys that they send to the Olympics and stuff like that, it's a national ranking that they do, and so you sign up for a license, and they go like a category 5 through 1, and so the Cat 1 guys, the professionals, are like the guys that they send to the Tour de France, but so there's like nationals or worlds, so the individual countries send teams that they pick, and then like the Tour de France and the Vuelta and like the European Grand Tours, the Giro d'Italia and stuff like that, they those are more like private. So individual sponsors like make their pro cycling teams and they send their teams to those. So
Oh,
but yeah, so I'm gonna this next season, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm in the process of getting a cycling coach now, and he was like a Cat 2 pro. This is a guy here in Lubbock, and he's gonna start coaching me because I want to sign up for my license and see if I can at least go category 3 eventually,
Mhm.
and see, because I have a little bit of natural propensity for the endurance sports that I didn't realize, because growing up here in Lubbock in West Texas, there's really not much to play other than like soccer and football and baseball. I don't have good eye-hand coordination. I'm not very explosive. Like I'm not super athletic, so it's just like I wasn't great at those sports. But
Mhm.
I've really found that I have a little bit of a natural ability to do endurance sports.
So you did how do you say that word?
A century,
That's 100 miles?
yeah, 100 miles. Yeah,
How the fuck do you do that?
yeah, man. It sounds like a lot, and but like anything else, you kind of like you work up to it. I started my first ride that I did. I did 14 miles, and then
Are you training around here?
Yeah, I trade here in Lubbock. I do all my riding here in Lubbock. And so there's a group. They take off from the Chisholm truck stop over there on the
No,
Slayton Highway.
Mhm.
Yeah, we take off from there and we go like that back way through Buffalo Springs Lake and through the entrance of Ransom Canyon and climb those hills and then climb 400 and come back around, come down MLK. It's like a 30-mile loop. And they do that every week. So I ride there, and then I have a little route that I take from my apartment because I live on 17th and Quaker. And I take from my apartment. I go through the canyon lakes, everywhere. So
Nice. Have you ever gotten to like the Tour de France and stuff like that? Have you ever gotten to see like a race like that happen here in the States? Have you ever gotten to, like not participating in one, but actually gotten to see one?
yeah, so the last century that I did in Wichita Falls. So there's like a big race here in Texas. It's called the Hotter Than Hell 100.
Mm-hmm.
And so and they had a USA Cycling sponsored like a race, and so it's a criterium race. And so what they do is they do 1 mile loop and they do it for an hour. And so they had like, I went to go watch the Cat 3 and Cat 1 pros, and those guys are sponsored. Like, you know, there's these law firms out of Dallas that will sponsor these teams, have like super like $10,000 bikes.
Oh
and,
shit!
Yeah, they have skin suits and everything like that. And so that was really cool watching that.
So I have a client. Her and her husband are huge. I forget what cyclist it was, but they're biking fans and Tour de France fans.
Yeah.
So they spent a couple weeks in France this summer, and they were able to watch 2 legs of the Tour de France. And it was really cool because she was telling me like one of them, they actually reserved a spot where like you could see the cyclist passing through. And she was like, and another day they were just able to kind of trail it. And she's like, that was really cool to see because you would just see them just shoot by. And then as soon as they shoot by, that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But she was like, it's just insane. Like these people are just bullets. Like,
How fast are they going?
So it's kind of crazy. Like, some of those stages, so they have different stages in a European tour like that. So the Tour de France is 3 weeks, 21 stages with 2 rest days. And so the stages are probably anywhere from like so they have individual time trials that they'll do, and they'll do like a 30 kilometer, so like 10 or 15 miles, and they'll do that. Just guys will do it as quickly as they can. But the majority of the stages are between 90 to 120 miles a day. Oh, wow. And then they're doing like mountain stages, right? So they're climbing, let's say, however many meters, I don't know the metric system, but like they'll do like 15,000 feet of elevation climb.
That's insane.
And so sometimes so they talk about like from the bottom of,
that is pretty though.
Yeah, from the bottom of Mount Everest, it's like 14,000 feet of elevation or something like that, or around there. And I think these guys will climb like the height of Everest in like 1 stage or 2.
Yeah.
Would you ever do that?
I would, if I would like to, but those guys, man,
Is that a different type of endurance at that point?
those guys are freak superhuman athletes.
Yeah,
Like,
you
you're
can't
talking
just
about
go
the
right?
highest level of athlete that exists,
And they
on
still
the
die.
bike. Some of them die, yeah, because they die from crashes. A lot of them, I mean, because these guys are, especially on the alpine descents, like in the northern Alps of France, these guys are 55, 60 miles an hour on a bike.
Oh, I was talking about the Mount Everest people.
Oh yeah, those
Those motherfuckers die all the time.
yeah, man. Well, I've actually heard like Mount Everest is super dangerous, but I've heard there's this other mountain called K2 that's even more dangerous. I think like more people die on K2 than people do on Everest, because they say Everest is like so trekked because it's like has so much foot traffic that you'll usually be okay.
People know now.
Yeah, people know. But like on that other, like,
is that Kilimanjaro?
No, I think Kilimanjaro is in Africa, but that one you can just hike.
Oh,
yeah.
I got a friend from Nepal. He told me I can go down there anytime.
That would be.
To take him up on that one.
Yeah, to go to Everest Base Camp. That would be beautiful.
That's all. That's enough for me. I don't want to go up that motherfucker.
Yeah, like some of these views that they have, like in the tour, they're just, the mountains are gorgeous, man. I've never been to Colorado here, but I've seen mountains in Japan. I've seen mountains in Switzerland. Beautiful. Yeah. So I've fallen in love with the mountains, but.
So how long does it take you to do 100 miles?
So it depends on the route. And then the other thing that's kind of cool about cycling is like the wind. So it's like any type of, with a car, the faster you go, the more wind resistance that you have. And so cycling is very much a team sport in the fact that like if you're in a group of people, the front guy that's in the front is taking 100% of the wind, right? And then the guy behind him is taking 80% of the wind, and the guy behind him is taking 40% of the wind. So if you're the 3rd or 5th guy back in a big group like that, you're saving 80% of your energy compared to the guy that's in the front. And so like when I just did, I did Hotter and Hell, was a 100-mile race. That one I did in like 4 hours and 53 minutes. So I moved at about a 20-mile-an-hour average. And so, but the first 100 that I did, it took me about 5.5 hours. But that one had a lot less people, and it was a lot more climbing. It was like 4,000 feet of elevation. Like Hotter and Hell's like 1,000. And so, but yeah, if you can get in a fast group, I mean, that's the thing about the Tour de France is these guys, they will do a stage like that and move at 23 or 24 mile an hour average on a mountain stage that they're climbing 15,000 feet.
Wow.
But you have 170 of the best bike racers in the world in a group, and the speeds that they move at are crazy. And of course they have like these bikes that weigh like 2 pounds, and
Like
everything's carbon
they're
fiber.
built for those kind
Yeah.
of things.
And
yeah.
then those guys are like 6'1", 6'2", 140 145 pounds. I mean, a guy like my height, that's like 5'6", or because I'm 5'8", so a guy that's about 5'8" is probably about 135, 140 pounds. Tiny. They're all super skinny.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Lance Armstrong?
I was about to say that too.
Lance Armstrong, man.
What they do to my boy, man?
Yeah, as
He's
an
Texas boy, right?
Yeah,
Shout
Yeah.
out him.
Austin boy.
Yeah, Frisco.
Oh yeah, never mind.
But
You're
he
right.
moved to Austin.
Mhm.
Yeah, but he, man, I think Lance Armstrong's the GOAT, man. He's just, they were all doping. All of them were on the juice, and he just happened to be the one that got caught.
Because he won what 5 in a row?
Did he get caught because
7.
he's number
7.
1? Was he getting caught because he was number 1?
No, I think he just got caught because he's a jerk. Like Lance Armstrong is not. Lance Armstrong is not a nice person, And like,
Jesus.
if you watch some of the like documentaries, like this, the way that he conducted business and stuff like that was pretty bad. Like he would, and him in his 50s now wasn't like I was an awful person, and and he actually has a podcast called The Move that he talks about professional cycling. I listen to it all the time, but yeah, man, I love Lance Armstrong.
But for like cyclists, do they still view? Is it like is his like image tarnished because of that? Or?
Definitely, yeah. It's really sad. I mean, because you have, he won 7 Tour de France's in a row.
Did they
which-
take him away?
Yeah, they all
Oh,
take him
yeah.
away, but they didn't give him to anybody else. So usually when they catch a guy that's doping, they give it to the second guy. But like I think they did testing from all of those dudes that rode, and the first guy that they found that was clean was like number 50.
Oh,
Yeah, because they were all on drugs.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
they couldn't give it
Yeah.
to nobody.
Yeah.
So it was almost like shame, but
Yeah.
fuck you, you're
No.
good.
Why didn't they just let everybody do it at that point?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about that is like doping in cycling really wasn't always. It's relatively new that it's been frowned upon. Like, because it was a very like minor sport coming up in France, so they were like, whatever.
Was
that
that
you
like,
can take.
did they do something to your blood?
Yeah, so there's different levels of doping. Like Lance Armstrong, I've listened to some documentaries where he talks about like there's like entry level doping, like cortisol cream and testosterone, stuff like that, and then you have high octane doping, which is EPO, blood doping, blood transfusion, stuff like that, and that's what they were doing.
Is that like where they take out some of your blood and like put it right back?
Put more
Is that
oxygen
what
in
it
it?
is?
Yeah, so they'll oxygenate it, or they put like they'll give you EPO, which boosts red blood cell count, right? And it's kind of dangerous for those guys too, because the more red blood cells you have, the thicker your blood is. So the more likely you are to clot or have like a stroke. or have
So
a heart attack.
is that why he has like a large? Because you've heard that he has a large heart.
I don't know.
I've always wondered if that's what that is, because they say he has like a heart that's like above
That's
average.
probably why he's the GOAT.
Can you cause yourself to have an enlarged heart?
I have no idea.
I don't
I
think
thought that
so.
was just like a like
Yeah, it's just born
if
with that,
yeah,
right?
you're born with it. You're
Mm.
born with it.
I
That's probably
think-
why he was good.
I think you can. I saw this guy.
I'll do
That,
math. We'll see.
yeah, I saw this guy that did 50 Ironmans in 50 days, like in a row, and they talked about like his heart was working so hard that they worried about his heart like growing, because it's like a muscle, like any other muscle. Yeah.
Oh,
And so that's the thing, is when you take steroids or like HGH or stuff like that, like a lot of like bodybuilders that take that stuff, they die super early, because if you're taking human growth hormone to grow your biceps, your heart's a muscle too. So
yeah,
your
'cause
heart's
you-
going to grow.
You only have a certain amount of heartbeats
yeah.
in you, anyways.
Yeah. But
Yeah, you guys are gonna die young. Jesus.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, but you think about it. I was thinking about that the other day, because I was telling my dad, because my parents go with me to all these races, and my dad's like, my parents are super supportive. And I was telling my dad, I was like, for 4.5 hours or 4 hours and 53 minutes, I did this race the other day. My heart rate was 170 beats a minute, and I have an average. So that's peaking into like the 190s, almost 200s on a full gas effort. And then in the low, it's like 150s, right? And so I told him, I'm like, is it healthy for my heart to be going this long? My dad's like, probably not, right? But when you have somebody that is like morbidly obese, that has health issues, right? Their heart rate, my resting heart rate at night will get into like the 130s, 140s, right? So a normal heart rate is from 60 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
And so my resting heart rate gets super low because I train so often. But a bigger person who's like unhealthy, sometimes their resting heart rate's 90, 100.
Mm-hmm.
You're just sitting there because they're carrying so much weight. So, so you kind of look at it to trade off,
What is that condition called? Where like how you said like your resting heart rate is kind of a little bit higher.
Yeah, it's called bradycardia.
Okay, so one of my best friends, she had a stroke when she turned 30.
Oh, yeah.
But we used to weight train. We were runners. Like we were extremely, extremely athletic at the time. And she had kind of been on her health journey for a few years at that point. So she had really trained hard to kind of get herself to that point. So whenever her stroke happened and everything, and it was a combination of like her fiance at the time getting her in the car and getting her, you know, taken care of right away to get everything administered. But when they kind of assessed her and they spoke to her about what happened, it was all these factors that had a hand in it, but they had also said, you're very lucky that they called it like an athletic heart, essentially, because they were like, your lifestyle, you trained your cardiac rhythm essentially to where when the stroke happened, your body was able to almost endure, you know, the stroke, and it almost like slowed down how impactful that stroke really could have been, like how deadly it could have been. And it was because of her cardiac health. And I mean, she had the stroke because she ended up having a hole in her heart, but the way she had conditioned herself, it technically saved her life.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it's just like when you're healthier, everything is easier.
You can fight anything.
But that was just the biggest wake up call to me. Like it was just like your mental and your physical health are all you have. Like, that's really all you have.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things where you kind of like, you know, like with COVID, you know, it was killing COVID, but you know, if you're healthy, it's easier for you to fight stuff, you know? And so, but yeah, you know, the thing that I kind of, you know, think about, and the thing that I kind of tell people about endurance sports is it's like, I'm just like a regular guy too, you know? And it's like, I really truly believe that most human beings are capable of doing whatever that they want physically, mentally.
Brother, you and I both.
Yeah. And so, I mean, because the thing is, like, they talk about, you know, the Asian countries that they're so much more advanced than we are, like in math and stuff like that. And the interesting thing that I heard about those countries is that they don't really teach, you know, here in the US, we have gifted and talented classes, right? So we tell people, oh, you have something that nobody else has. And they don't do that in Asian countries. They tell them that they need to work hard, right? And so, you know, it's just, I think most people can ride 100 miles. Most people could run.
I think
a
we
marathon.
all have it in us.
Yeah, everybody does, you know. And it's just about, you know, putting the work in. And so, and that's what I, you know, when you start running a marathon, you know, I got a coach and everything. He's actually my buddy. His name is Colton Hollis, and he's like,
hey, I know that guy.
Really? Yeah. He's a good guy. And me and him used to go to church together for a while, but he is like a JUCO like state record holder and all kinds of stuff. He's super fast, dude. I mean, he's running 5-minute miles for, you know, a half marathon, you know, and he does all my running plans for me. And so, you know, the majority of the training that I do for these endurance sports are like, it's zone two cardio.
You know, one time I told him, hey, how do I run a marathon? He said, you can't.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, all right, brother.
Well, if you,
I was like, he was right.
Yeah,
I haven't done it yet. He was right.
Yeah, the thing too is he'll be honest with you, right?
Yeah,
And,
I respect it.
yeah, and so, you know, he's probably telling you like you
No,
can't.
I think I told him, I was like, can I do it in this amount of time?
Yeah, he's probably like, no, yeah.
I'm
And
embellishing the story, but yeah.
Yeah, and so he, but yeah, you know, I kind of told him like, hey, this is my goal. You know, I gave myself a complete 16 weeks, and I wasn't a runner in college. I didn't run a lot. And, you know, the most I had ever run before I started training was like 6 miles, you know? And so, but yeah, zone 2 cardio, man. It like,
What is zone 2?
so you take your heart rate zones and you do your 180 minus your age, right? So
Okay.
if you do 180, I'm like 28 years old. I'm not good at math, but that's like 162 or 150, whatever. That one, around 162 is zone 2 for me. So that means, and it goes up to, it goes up to zone 5, right? So 152. So when I do my zone 2 runs, I keep my heart rate in between 145 and 155.
Okay.
Right? And the reason is for endurance sports, the 80% of your training is going to be at an easy pace, what they call conversation pace.
Yes.
You run slow, because most people, they go out and they run fast, right? If you go run a mile, you're like, oh, I'm, you know, running a 10-minute mile. I'm going to go run a 9-minute mile. Heart rate's jacked through the roof. You know, first of all, it taxes your body because you're exhausted. Your legs aren't used to it. Your heart's not used to it. And then what do you do the next day? You don't go run because you're sore, right? So, you know, what I tell people when you want to get involved in endurance sports, and that's how I started. You know, I started 3 miles a day, you know, and then you go 5 miles a day. And then by the end of the prep, you know, on weekends, I'm doing 16,
There's the key right
runs.
there, brother, to anything.
Yeah.
To anything you want to do, right? What you just said.
Yeah, it's just repetition.
You got to start small.
Yeah.
If it takes 1 mile, for a month, do 1 mile a month, and then you're doing 2 miles, and then you're doing 4.
Yeah, same thing with nutrition. You know, like you don't have to have a 500 calorie deficit every day. You know, you do.
You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, you do 100 calories, and for 35 days you have a 100 calorie deficit. Then that's 1 pound, and you lose 1 pound a month. And that's how you start. Then that's how you start. You know, and most people can do endurance sports. A lot of people can. And so, and you know, like, you know, 2 years ago, you know, I was, you know, overweight, not happy, you know, couldn't run, couldn't do anything. And, you know, and it's just, you know, it clicked, you know, that, you know,
Aren't you supposed to do zone 2 cardio? Like don't they say like once a week?
it's healthy.
To be healthy.
Yeah. It's
working out.
Yeah. It's healthier for you. Yeah. So like I used to, when I was at the Health Sciences Center, or I'm still there, but I was in a different department. I was in the neurology department. And so I worked for a Alzheimer's study. And so,
they give you the shittiest jobs, man. Fuck.
yeah, so it's but I would, you know, and it was actually a study on Hispanics, and so I would, you know, interview Hispanics, and I would do neuropsychological testing on them, and so we would get a baseline, and then we'd follow them year by year. And so I used to go to these conferences that they would study Alzheimer's, and you know, the fact about it is we all age, and we're all going to get Alzheimer's at some point. You know, just some people die before they do that, but your brain is going to, you know, degrade over the years. And so it's very common. And, you know, dementia is like an umbrella term, like cancer, right? But then there's different types. And the most common type is Alzheimer's. And, you know, they did a study in Wisconsin where they took 20 years of data over all kinds of demographic of people. And one of the factors that really cut down the rates of Alzheimer's by like 30% was they did zone 2 cardio 3 days a week. You know, they got their heart rate over 135 beats a minute for 30 minutes, 3 days a week. And on the end part of their life, the 40% less, or like 30% less likely to get Alzheimer's.
That's really crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is true, but I've heard this before where supposedly Hispanics are less likely to get Alzheimer's. I mean, they still
false, man. My fucking grandma died from that shit.
My granny was diagnosed with it too.
I know they still.
She didn't die from it, but she
No,
had it.
I know they still do, but it's like the number's a lot lower because supposedly.
Because we're Jews, or what? What are you gonna say?
No, that's not what I'm saying. No, what I'm saying is that supposedly they say that. I mean, because I guess statistically, Hispanics don't retire at a early age.
They work.
So they work and they stay busy compared to other people who can, you know, they're not keeping themselves like they're not exercising their brain.
So it's like physical activity.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of old people who stop moving die.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is, and it was just really interesting because they always say that like, it's really not that Hispanics get it at less rates, because I think amongst minorities, Alzheimer's is actually more prevalent.
They just don't test for it?
No, it's because usually minorities have higher rates of high blood pressure, diabetes, things like that, right? But the thing about it is, by sheer demographics, minorities are less educated, right? So one of the factors that we would take into this algorithm that we used to spit out a scaled score that I could tell you if you were demented or not, right? And it's a big bell curve. And so 60%, you know, if you scored under 40, that was abnormal. If you scored over 60, that was superior. Right in the middle is about normal, right? And so, they studied a bunch of professors at MIT. And so these professors were getting Alzheimer's, and these guys are like calculators, right? They're math professors. So they can do complex equations in their head. And these guys were like, I used to be able to do this, and now I can't do it. Someone like me, when I get Alzheimer's, I'm not going to know if that part of my brain dies because I was never able to do that to begin with.
Oh, okay, I got
so
you.
the less
that's so sad.
educated that you are, the less that you notice. So when you have,
That is sad as fuck.
Yeah, so when you have, you know, I know, you know, in this study, you know, I would meet people that were high functioning Hispanics. You know, they were teachers and had master's degrees and stuff like that. And they were upset because they like, I feel myself slowing down, right? And it's because they notice it more because they were smarter.
So do dumb people live longer? What the fuck going on?
I don't know if dumb people live longer. I just think that they just don't. They're not.
They don't give a fuck.
They're not as self-aware.
I have a theory about this. Don't let me get into this theory.
Yeah, but they're not as self-aware about things that they do.
This is my theory, bro. This is
Or like understanding, you know, like
I think when you're that unaware and you live like that, you're almost impervious to anything. You just fucking live.
Yeah, it's just like
You just-
ignorance
you
is
just-
bliss, man.
I really-
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
I really believe that. I've known some people.
Yeah.
It just, I'm like, damn.
Yeah, they're just living on their own,
They
because
don't-
they don't think much, and so it's you see them and you're like, man, they're living a great life.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
You know, like you have a Shane Gillis,
My boy,
shirt
yeah.
on, where he has this whole bit that he does about like Down syndrome people and how he says that they're like the most happy
They're the
people that you ever
bros.
meet, right? Because they don't like,
They
you know,
don't
everyone's
worry, they don't have worries.
everyone's taking care of them. Like they don't think about the stuff that we do, you know? And so I always tell these kids, and like, you know, we were talking about 20-year-old kids earlier. Like, it's like, you know, I mean, like, enjoy your life, man. Because then you graduate from college and you start working and life sucks, you know, because you have all these worries and, you know, and you got to think about how you got to pay bills and stuff like that. And so it's just the daily stresses. But yeah, I don't think it's that Hispanic get Alzheimer's less than the other demographics. I think they just kind of.
We're just dumber,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
just, you know, you got to go by sheer
That's
numbers.
so
you
fucking
know?
insane. I didn't think of, like, they just never use that part of their brain, so they never notice.
Yeah. I
That's
mean, because
crazy.
mine.
But would you say that people that do retire at an earlier age, that it kind of that's where their downfall starts to happen, or is it all just genetics?
I think that could be for anybody that just slows
If
down.
they
Yeah.
don't move, if they stop moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there has to be. There's no scientific proof that I've seen, not that it's not out there, that proves that.
Because you have to exercise your brain, right? Like read, do crossword puzzles, like
Yeah, actually, the best thing for older folks to keep is conversation.
really.
You can do as many puzzles as you want, as many crossword puzzles as you want, as many math problems as you want, but the encoding that your brain has to do when I speak to you, you understand what I'm saying, you process what I'm saying, you come up with your own, and to do that in the split second that we're talking is
See,
it fires all.
That's
the
actual
neurons in the
brain power.
I had
Yeah.
heard this thing that at 50 years old, they did a study like to see how long you're going to live. And if you could lift yourself up off the ground without assistance, and if you had a group of friends, you were going to live way much longer than people who didn't have those two, who couldn't do that and didn't have friends.
Yeah,
Like having friends, I guess, like your conversation.
yeah.
Because
You
I
gotta be on
guess
the top.
having conversations like the ultimate test.
That makes
like,
sense. My mom was 80. She's always on that goddamn phone talking to her fucking family.
You know, and the thing about it too is, you know, my dad was telling me this the other day. I don't know how true it is, but it's saying like that the human, that we are the only species on Earth that defeats ourselves mentally. You know, and you think about like animals, a dog. If you train a dog to hunt, a dog will run itself until it dies, like until it collapses of a heart attack. And we will not do that as humans. Like we'll be like, hey, that's enough. It's because we're that intelligent. You know,
Unless you're
And-
David Goggins.
yeah, and but you have those anomaly, those freak guys that they'll kill themselves. They can push their mind, but
I think that's how he's going to die.
but it's a mental feat, you know? Like they consciously defeat that in their mind. And I think the same thing with older folks is I think whenever you stop having friends and you lose the ability to act independently, I think a lot of people mentally give up on
I think that's what killed my granny. I don't mean to be morbid. I think that's what she couldn't walk anymore, and within a year she died.
Yeah.
I think that's what like she became codependent. of that.
So, I mean, this kind of has something to do with that, but I remember when COVID was kind of first bad, like really, really bad, like May, June of 2020. So like I said, I'm a hairstylist, so I was out of work for about 2 months. So when we were able to go back to work, it was like end of May or whatever. But we would have people from towns all over, even from New Mexico, coming through, and I would always, it would always be like home care or nursing home or retirement home employees or whatever. And I would always ask them, like, did COVID get into your retirement homes? And a lot of these places did the best they could to keep COVID out. And a lot of what I heard is we didn't have a single case of COVID, but because we had to quarantine every single person,
no man,
it was like on a
dying.
day-to-day basis that people just started dropping because
Yeah.
they were no longer socializing. They were no longer able to get out. They
had no will.
just quit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she'd be like, it wasn't even like heart attacks. It was, they would just go in their sleep.
Yeah.
Like they were just, that was it. Yeah. And it was never a single case of
That's
COVID.
you,
I
Fauci.
heard this from two women that worked at retirement homes.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it's really sad. It really is sad because pandemic or not, there are tons of people that probably go like that.
Yeah, every day, huh?
Yeah. I always think about that when I see older folks. I'm like, you know, they were like us one day.
Oh yeah.
And then they blinked and they're all
Yeah, and then they blinked and, you know, like, you know, I just turned 28 years old. I only have 2 more years in my 20s, you know?
you
I
and I
think, like-
both, man. I'm holding on to that
Yeah,
shit.
and you're like, you never get the time back, you know? It's just like, and that's why like these past couple of years I've been so focused on like being healthy, enjoying traveling, doing things like that, because you're only, and there's things about being smart and with your money and and being responsible and things like that, and that's all good and great, but at the same time, like, we'll never have these years back.
Oh yeah, it's like I'm never gonna have this body with this kind of sense of adventure, with almost like this sense of like ignorance and carelessness to truly explore.
Yeah, like when you go to, you're never gonna be 27 years old in Italy again. Like that's only gonna happen once. So you enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I mean that's what I'm just not.
This is why I
wasting
haven't
time.
had kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, me and my buddies were talking about that the other day. That like my dad's 50. He just turned 55, and like when he was my age, man, he was like 28. He had just had me. His second kid. He had a wife, and my sister was already born. He's like a grown man, and so it's like now. Me and we all graduate. I hang out with some of my buddies I graduated from high school with, and we're all the same age, and we're like, we feel behind. I do think we're at a little bit of a disadvantage.
Sort of
with the economy and the way that things went, and
COVID.
Things in the 90s were way different than they are now.
I saw this thing about inflation. It was like back in the 90s, my dad was able to work basically minimum wage, support his family and his other family on the side. And now motherfuckers can't do that because of inflation. It's like, it was different.
I was watching this video the other day. It was like a quick TikTok where this guy was breaking down $150,000 like today, and how it like he's like a family of 2 adults that make $150,000 after taxes. They only take home about $100,000, and so they get like $8,000 a month. And after an average home payment now in the United States, and the average cost of food and 3 kids and this and that, and like in a little bit of living life, like $300 a month to go to dinner or enjoy yourself, not even vacations, not saving for retirement, not nothing. They had $0 left over, and it's like, the inflation that's happened in our country in the past like 5 years is crazy.
This is why I also advocate. I know this place sucks, but living here, it's a little less affected by that.
Yeah, in Lubbock, it's pretty affordable.
Really cheap.
Yeah,
it's getting expensive, but
yeah, it is. But there's some other places like Oklahoma City, man. Like when I went there to go do my marathon, that's a very affordable place to live, and it's like really nice.
Is it worse? Oh, I was about to say.
Yeah, and I think it's a little bit safer because, like, like Lubbock's dangerous. Man, we were talking about that. It is. It's a dangerous town, man.
It's weird. It's the 8th most dangerous in the country.
Yeah.
The only bad thing about Oklahoma is tornadoes.
I'm about to say that.
Yeah, that's
tornadoes and racist.
Mm.
Yeah, the Mexicans out there are super racist.
Yeah, I always say that, dude. That Mexicans are like some of the most racist demographics of people that you ever meet.
They are the worst.
Yeah. Like I heard this comedian one time to say, his name was like Felipe Esparza.
Love him.
Yeah, and he's like, if there's not any like black people or white people around, like Mexicans start focusing in on dark Mexicans, and they're like they start discriminating against them.
Bro, it's like the ones from Mexico.
Yeah.
Versus the ones from here.
Yeah.
Ooh, you sound like my fucking Thea.
I have been discriminated against Mexicans from Mexico. That's why I say this. Yeah.
My mom's from Mexico, and so I grew up here, and I didn't learn to speak Spanish until I was older, and so, but yeah, they're very, very, very culturally. I think a lot of cultures are like that, man. Like the Japanese are one of the most racist cultures
you ever meet. Chinese and Koreans.
Yeah. They won't let, like, when you go to Japan, they won't let you go into certain places if you're not Japanese. And also, like, with the immigration in Japan, like, you can't become a citizen in Japan unless you're Japanese by blood.
Oh, wow.
I've seen TikToks.
Mexico is the same way. That unless your mother was born there by blood, you can't be a Mexican citizen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, they send them all over here, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember at South Plains taking American Minority Studies. Yeah, because you'll learn like racism within races. It gets brutal. Like
we'll always find a way to discriminate.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, we've been
hair
doing
color,
that
eyes, height,
since the beginning of time.
Yeah,
like there'll be a lot of black clubs back in the day where like there was a thing called the brown bag test. Like if you were darker than the brown bag, you couldn't get in. Like just stupid shit like that.
Yeah, so, I mean, like the Hutus and Tutsis used to do it in Rwanda. They would like measure by the size of their nose or whatever, like by weird stuff because they're all one color,
Same.
And so they would like measure like different stuff on their body. I mean, we're always, as humans,
Indians and Pakistanis.
Yeah, we're always going to find a way to discriminate against other people, whether it's us because we just don't
we
like
can
them.
discriminate against Puerto Ricans.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. Do you guys ever get? Do people ever like tell you like, oh, like they're Puerto Ricans like the same thing? It doesn't ever like upset you.
I said this on a podcast before. Call a Puerto Rican a Mexican and see what happens.
Yeah, man. Because it's like we're not the same. Like it's completely different culture.
See what happens?
Yeah, it's just Spanish. All the food is different. I will. I think Mexican food's the best out of all Hispanic cultures. The food's the best.
Yeah, we are the best. But yeah, it's fucking wonderful.
Yeah, man.
I want to go to Mexico.
I've been to Mexico, but just like the touristy parts of Mexico. Like
Yeah, that's the only places I will go.
Yeah.
I would love to go to like Oaxaca or
Yeah.
like Mexico City.
Mexico City would be sick.
Mexico. I didn't realize Mexico City is like one of the largest cities in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Like
sinking.
Tokyo.
Yeah, like Tokyo.
And it's sinking. It sinks like a centimeter, like a
Because
year,
it's a swamp.
because it was built on top of the swamp,
The Mayans.
and it keeps getting built on top, so it just keeps on slightly sinking.
It would be cool to see an NFL game there because they do go to the.
They do.
They do that.
Yeah.
Over there.
They do it in
And
London too.
They're doing it in Sao Paulo
Oh, Brazil. Yeah.
on Friday.
Oh.
My dad said that him and his family, when he was a kid, they went to Mexico City to go see family, and they went in the summer of '68, and that's when the Summer Olympics were going on.
Oh, that's
Yeah, so he got to see like everyone at Mexico City.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to hit the Olympics when they come here.
Oh yeah, here in the U.S. I
Yeah.
think the last time the Olympics was in L.A. was like in the '80s.
84.
Yeah, and the last time was in the '90s, right? In Atlanta.
Yeah.
This is the last time it was in the U.S.
96.
Yeah. That was the year I was born, man. 96.
Same, bro.
96.
So what's going on with this? With cyclists getting bad PR? A lot of people hate you guys on the road.
You know, man, I think
I saw a video. I don't know if you've seen it. This fucking tree fell, and this cyclist literally had like 20 feet and just still ran into the fucking tree.
Yeah.
He had all
Yeah.
the time in the world.
A lot of people hate cyclists, I think, because like I try to pick my roads wisely. One, because I don't trust people. So the thing about a cyclist is you're at an extremely vulnerable position.
This
'Cause-
isn't a cyclist-friendly town
no,
either.
at all. And so you are on the road and you have a 2-ton, machine that's coming up probably 25 to 30 miles faster than you are, right? And they're coming up behind you. So you have to trust that that person is paying attention or they're going to kill you, And so I pick my roads very wisely because I don't trust people. So there's one stretch of road so the canyon lakes here in Lubbock are actually pretty good for cyclists because it's a park, and there's not a lot of cars. But there's one stretch of road that I take that's like Indiana right there next to UMC all the way down till you get to the North Loop.
Okay.
Yeah, and it goes like by like Raider Pass and all those like random apartment complexes. And that is the only road that I take that doesn't have a shoulder. And so I'm like in a lane, but there's 2 other lanes on the other side of me. And so but like there's certain things like that you have to educate the public about cyclists. It's like I run red lights all the time. And the reason is because it's safer for me to run a red light than it is for me to wait. And for you to be behind me waiting for me to take off on a bike. It takes me a while to get going on a bike. And when I'm on a bike and I'm rolling up to a red light and I see that there's no one coming and you're the only car sitting at this red light, it's safer for me to get ahead of you 30 feet so I can get to my turn before you pass me or just to get away from you in general.
Mhm.
And so some people are like, oh, cyclists don't stop at da, 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 da. And it's like,
I've heard that.
yeah, dude, because I'm on a bike going 10 miles an hour. And if I see a car, I can stop in 2 seconds. It's not the same as a car. I'm not inside an enclosed box of windows. I can hear, I can see, I can.
So there's no music playing in your ears?
No, it's not. Every once in a while, I'll put like one AirPod in, but that's not very often. But probably 95% of the time, I don't ever put any music on. There are some guys that they'll have like those. I don't do too, just because it's not. It's pretty dangerous to me. But like, there's a lot of idiot tech students that ride around with these big, Bose headphones, and they're on a bike, and it's pretty stupid. But in their defense, they're riding on campus, and you're supposed to watch out for them when you're on campus.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, and so, but yeah, cyclists get a lot of bad rep, and I've had guys get close to me before, and some people just hate cyclists.
So I was
You know,
gonna
Twitter
say,
does.
some people will just kind of intentionally do it to intimidate them, or they'll splash them, and it really sucks.
Yeah, and so like I've had big old trucks, with diesel trucks spray me with
Oh, that
smoke and
sucks.
stuff like that, and then one time I was riding a group of guys, and there was this kid from tech, and he was with us, and this dude, he was a fast guy, like he had explosive, like that dude could get up to 26 miles an hour like that, and this dude did that to us, and well, the idiot stops at a stop sign, like literally, or it's a light. He stops at a light like 200 feet down the road, and that dude sprints up and catches up to him. Like, just knocking on his window and telling him stuff. And,
Well, that's kind of dumb too, though.
yeah, and so like it's but yeah, it's like you just get some guys that hate cyclists, and I mean I get it, and if I'm honest with myself, if I'm on my way to work in the morning and I'm running late or something like that, and I got to go around a cyclists that are like, that's going 10 miles an hour on the road, it frustrates me a little bit, right? Because you got to be honest too as a driver. But the thing that you got to understand is me getting to work on time isn't worth that guy's life.
Oh, completely. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just check yourself, because that's fucking ignorant.
Yeah,
Don't be
because
fucking hitting people.
Yeah, you don't want to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're talking
It's
about
not that hard too on a car.
Yeah, somebody that's never going to see their family again because you need to get to work. And like most things that people kill each other over, it's not worth someone's life, And so, but yeah, I mean, I get some of the hate too.
Do you carry a pistol?
Yeah, I do. Now I don't have like a CHO or anything, but with the constitutional carry here in Texas, I do.
Do they make like good shit to carry it while you're riding?
I carry like a small little like revolver every once in a while, but I don't carry it too often because it's heavy. And so
and that adds weight to your.
Yeah. The weight thing is usually on my training rides I don't worry about it, but when I do races I take everything off on my bike. But yeah, and I carry a knife. I carry dog spray. Dogs are a huge deal.
I bet here. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, there are some dogs that will chase you here on Lubbock, and it's never the stray dogs. Like everybody always thinks like, oh, these random stray dogs. No, those dogs are chill. Like the stray dogs are just trying to live. Like
they know what's up.
Yeah, there's like 103 degrees. They're like, bro, I don't have energy to chase you. I'm just trying to find water. Right? It's the dogs that get out of the yard. That's like with a collar. The German shepherds that are like, I had a couple of pit bulls chase me. Like, bro, I would look down on my bike computer. I was going like 25, and this pit bull's like right next to me. And because one, you're like, okay, yeah, it's gonna bite me, but two, if it hits my wheel, I'm gonna eat it going 25.
Shit.
Yeah, and that's gonna hurt. So you can break something or.
What's the worst injury you have sustained? Falling off your bike or anything like that?
I've been pretty lucky. I've only had 3 crashes, knock on wood, but this last one that I had, I got my buddy into cycling, and I went riding with him, and it was his first ride cycling. He just got bought a bike, and I was like trying to be cool.
Were you trying to stunt?
Yeah, I was trying. I was trying to be cool, and I was like, I was down by Dunbar. You know where that the dam is at the end of Dunbar?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was taking off down that hill, and in cycling, to cut the angles just right, you have to circle out and then come back in and cut it real close on the corner. So I circled out and came back in, but it was after a time that it had rained a lot.
Oof.
And the whole dam was overflowing. So I'm taking that hill, probably going about like 23. And so I like look up and there's water, and I have probably about 20 feet to stop. And so I like kind of tap on my brake, and I tapped on my rear brake a little bit too hard. Whole bike slid out from up underneath me, and I like skinned my knee pretty bad, and got it up here. I still have numbness in my hip. That was like 2 months ago.
Was the bike all right?
Yeah, the bike was fine. Yeah, I shaved a little bit off on my derailleur. But other than that, the bike. But yeah, that was the first thing that I got up.
Because they're expensive.
Is my bike? Yeah, they're they can get kind of pricey. The higher end bikes are like 10, 15K. The lower end, you can find some on Facebook Marketplace. Like if there's someone that's gonna get into cycling, I always tell them to go to Facebook Marketplace because you can get a good bike for like $500, $400. So yeah, mine's like in kind of like the 26 to 36 range. You don't tell nobody
the price. We don't want them to know.
Yeah, but
you carry a pistol, you can tell them.
Yeah, but it's like but it's a straight road like carbon bike. It's got no kickstand. Most people don't want to ride a bike like that. And so, but yeah, it's a really expensive sport, pretty expensive. But it's like so much fun. But yeah, so that was the worst injury I had. I just kind of slid out, took some skin off my knee. But other than that, I mean, I was back on the bike the next day. So,
do you ride at night or no during the day?
No, I don't ride at night because that's how you get hit by a car. Yeah, because usually like when you hear like stories here in Lubbock of people getting hit, it's because they're riding like 11 o'clock at night or something like that.
That's really sad.
Yeah, but I ride like 6 in the morning when it's dark sometimes. But that's like probably like the darkest I'll ride. And I have like lights. I know this lady that she's like in her 50s. Lady's a beast, man. Like she'll go out on a random Saturday and do she'll do 100 miles just on a random Saturday. just because she's an endurance athlete.
Hell yeah.
And she's like in her late 50s. And this woman, because I have Strava, so it's like a social media app where you post all your runs and stuff like that. And this woman will be up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, like riding 1585, you know? And she always laughs because she says it's just her and the drunk drivers. Like, you know, and she's
so
lit,
scary.
yeah, she's like
Well.
lit up like a Christmas tree. And she's like, you know, and she does it all the time, you know, and she goes and puts 40, 50 miles in at 4 o'clock in the morning and, you know, has a productive day. But
Jesus Christ.
yeah.
Have you ever seen Premium Rush?
No, that's that one with Joseph Gordon,
yeah,
Gordon
that's a good
Levitt or
movie.
whatever his name is.
That's
yeah.
a good movie.
Yeah, but that
Of course
those
you know
are
about that movie.
those bicycle messengers in New York City are like a whole different breed.
Oh, I'm sure.
The bike handling that those dudes have, and then so they ride fixed gears. So like, I have an 11 speed bike, so I have 11 gears with 2 cogs in the front. So that's like I can climb hills and stuff with it, and the gears will help you kind of like keep a maintain speed. A fixed gear is just like your old bike that you had like as a kid, like a BMX bike, right? There's no gears or anything, no shifters. And those guys are like crazy strong. They ride shift gears with no brakes in New York City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
And so they'll like, I've seen some of these dudes, they'll unclip from their like pedals and they'll put their foot on their back tire and that's how they brake.
The hell?
Yeah.
Shit.
And so those guys are like super. And actually, messenger biking and the cycling community is like its own underground competition. Like here in Houston, they'll have like these alley cat competitions where you'll show up on a fixed gear. They'll give you places that you have to hit in the city and you take your own route. There's no fixed route. And whoever
Nice.
gets all of these things first comes back.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a bunch of like hipster dudes, you know, that are just like super fast on bikes and stuff. And so, yeah, like it's a whole underground culture.
Yeah,
so
because in that
funny.
movie, it's like all these bike messengers. Yeah, they're competing like who gets what first, and then a cop gets involved because there was a package that like the mob is trying to get. So it kind of becomes this whole like thriller story. But you need to check it out. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'll have to watch
It
it.
has Michael Shannon in it too. So
There's these guys on Instagram I follow. They're called like Good Guy Racing or something. And these dudes have these like amazing videos of them just like going down like Fifth Avenue in New York City. And they're like grabbing on the buses and pulling
Yeah.
themselves.
and
And
they're cussing at everyone because they didn't
yeah, people are honking at them.
honking, going
Yeah.
the wrong. I've seen some videos where there's a big problem, like in New York, where even the bike lanes, people are going the wrong way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see those videos of this guy like yelling at people. He's like, "Get out of the bike lane!" He's like screaming at people. Yeah, man. But riding a bike's really, it's a great version of cardio. I love running, and I love doing that marathon. And I really fell in love with running when I did that. But it's hard on the body, you know. And I would say physically, and some people are crucify me for this, but like physically, I think doing 100 miles is harder than a marathon. But the aftermath of running a marathon is so much worse than doing 100 miles. Like,
That's pain.
yeah, like I did the marathon. I couldn't walk the next day.
Oh, shit.
My knee was swollen. Everything hurt. Like I feel like I got hit by a truck. Like I couldn't walk without pain until like a week later after the
Yeah.
marathon.
So in what was it, 2022? I think I did it. So in April of 2022, I did a half marathon. I did the Mayor's Marathon. And I accidentally trained for that by doing the 4x4x48
Oh, yeah.
challenge in March. But I didn't do it in 48 hours because I'm terrified to run at night by myself. I'm a woman.
Yeah.
So that's different. So I split the 48 miles over a period of like 7 days. And I did it. And that itself was a feat because it was...
That's a lot of miles in a week.
Oh, it was awful. It was god awful because like at that point, like running to me, like a good run was like 6 to 8 miles. And so having to stack that over like a 7-day period, by like day 4, like I could feel like my hips were inflamed. I could feel like my knees. It was a different kind of sweat. Like the way it wore on my body, I ended up doing it, but I remember I finished it on a Sunday and the next day, like, I don't know if I had just hit my breaking point or if it was just my body finally being able to relax and getting to sleep. But like, I couldn't really move. Like everything was just so tender. And it was, I remember that pain. I will forever remember that pain because when I did my half marathon, I was so scared and I was still in pain the next day, but it was nothing compared to that 48. Like it was I will never forget that pain. But also I'll never forget how the day after that I was fine.
Yeah.
Like I was still sore, but I was just like, it blows my mind how resilient the body really is, and how it really is like just built to just, it bounces back. It will bounce back no matter what you put it through. It almost always can.
Yeah. That's what I really like about endurance sports is like one of the fun things to me is like, that when you do a marathon or you do something like that, or you do 100 miles, that there's a part where like you get, like I've already done a century and I have a century here in, next weekend, not this coming weekend, but the next weekend. And I'm nervous for it, not in the fact that I don't think I can finish it. I'm nervous for it because I know it's going to hurt. Like,
Oh yeah.
you know? And so you like know it's painful.
Oh, it is.
But my favorite part of that is like, you get to see what you really are. You know?
Oh yeah.
Like, are you going to
like,
quit or are you going to like,
because you hit a point of like, God, I hurt so bad.
Yeah.
But then it's also but you also, as you're hitting that point, it's kind of like, God, I hurt so bad, but I still kind of have it in me. Like you kind of are like bargaining with yourself. Like you're in pain. You want to just kind of make it to this next stop, but it's also kind of like, but I can still kind of go. Like it's like when you kind of slow down, it's just kind of like, no, I was fine back there, and you kind of start bargaining with yourself through it. You know what I mean? And I don't know, like I feel like that mental blockade that you push through, I really feel like that's kind of where like runner's high comes from, or all these things come from, because it really is just like it's pushing past your human instinct to call it quits, or to kind of be like, I think I'm done, or I think I'm in pain. You push yourself past those limits.
Yeah, I think like when I did my marathon, I knew that it was gonna hurt at a certain point, and so I wanted to go sub 4 hours on my marathon, which is like a 9-minute mile.
Damn.
And so I did 4:15, and I was on track to do sub 4, until I got to about mile 21 or 22, and I had always heard everybody say that the marathon, the race is not from 1 to 21, it's from 21 to 26. 100%, that's so true. That last 6 miles. And so I'm on track, and I have a Garmin watch that keeps my pace, and so I'm hitting paces, and I'm hitting nines, and all of a sudden I'm hitting 8:15 or like 8:30s, 8:35, and I'm like, I'm going a little bit too fast. And so about mile 21, I stopped to use the bathroom. And it was funny because they have like rest stops like every mile or something, but I just had to use the bathroom like really bad. And so it was like somebody had a porta potty like someone was having construction on their house in Oklahoma City and had a porta potty like in their driveway. And I was like, I'm just going to cut off and use it here. So I cut off, I go in this porta potty, use the bathroom, and I stand for 40 seconds or however long it takes me. And then I get out and I start running again. And I'm like,
that is hard.
That hurts.
Yeah.
And so, about 22, and I started seeing my mile time. I was like, now it's like 9:15.
You start climbing up.
Like 9:30s. And so I'm doing like math in my head. I'm thinking like, okay, if I can keep 10-minute miles for the next 4 miles, I can do sub 4. And then I had like a couple of 11s and 11:22s. And it's like you do 3 hours of work, 3.5 hours of work of keeping pace to lose it all in the last 5 miles.
Yeah.
And it's just, my knees were killing me. My hips were killing me. And then like mentally, I'm just like dying because I'm hurting. And so last 5 miles, I'm like limping in, and, they're giving like chips and stuff at the stand. So I'm like eating, Cheetos and stuff because I'm like, I'm under my time shot. Now I'm just trying to, complete the marathon.
Yeah.
And my goal was that I wasn't going to walk, not once. And it's funny because you take off on the run, and there's people that are running the half marathon that day, and it was like 10,000 or 15,000 runners, a ton of runners. So you take off, and the energy at the start's like really like cool because they're playing rock music, and it's just, everyone's getting ready. And so they're at a certain point, the half marathoners split off, and then all the marathon guys are running, and it gets really quiet because most people run the half marathon, and it gets really quiet in the back half of the course. And the first half of the course, people are talking. They're like, hey, what's your name? And you're talking to random people and cracking up. And then the back half gets really quiet because everyone's hurting. And so you see guys walking, guys have cramps, guys are throwing up, and so, but yeah, that last like 4 or 5 miles of that marathon, I was just in pain. I was like this, but that's the fun part of it. And it's, I always talk about like high quality fun, like you never remember a roller coaster like 10 years later, you remember like hard stuff that you do 10 years later, stuff that isn't fun in the moment. And then like later you're like, oh man, that was a lot of fun, And so you do that marathon, you're like, that was awful. And then you're ready to sign up for another one, like, like a month later. And so,
Well, that's what I'm saying is like the aftermath. You kind of think of like, fuck, that sucked, and then it's like, but once it's done, it's like that was it.
Yeah.
And you kind of have this like, huh.
Yeah, I think it's all mental, man. You break that mental barrier.
mental.
I mean, it's just like doing this podcast, like when it first started, it sucked, and you're like, what do I do? And then, or not that the podcast sucks, but doing
The work.
the work,
Yeah.
editing, all of that stuff. And as you got more practice, now you can probably edit. a
Now
whole
I can
podcast.
handle the suck because it
Yeah.
still sucks.
Yeah, yeah, it's work, but you're like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
used to it. It's just like anything else. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Just like I knew that this conversation was gonna be like that.
Yeah.
Just like anything else.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like the biggest thing I think people should know is that like most people can do that. Like I'm not like a special dude or have special abilities or whatever. Like most people can run a marathon. Most people can ride 100 miles.
You know that one of the most profound things I've ever heard on Joe Rogan's podcast? This girl, she would run 200 miles, those races.
Yeah.
And she like smoked everybody. And she went on Rogan and he was like, what the fuck is the secret? How did you do it? I mean, she beat people by like a day.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't have a secret. I just did it.
Yeah.
You just get up there and you fucking run.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just,
You just do it.
yeah, you just got to go and, get it done. And so, and it's like, and it's, she didn't run 200 miles on. And some people do have natural ability, like you have guys that are running the marathon at the Olympics. Those guys are running 4-minute miles for 26 miles. Like that's crazy. And those guys are natural athletes, right? But
Well, there's a reason they're
yeah,
Olympians.
but there's levels, but most humans can do that, Like I always hear the first ultra or some of the first ultra marathoners were Native Americans.
Yeah, I
they
heard
talk about
that.
like Geronimo running like 100, 120 miles or stopping to eat
Or there's
beef
like that.
jerky.
There's that tribe in Mexico of women.
Yeah,
And
There's a
they
book
only wear
about
their
them.
chanclitas,
Yeah.
and they still run in their
Just
dresses.
Fucking run.
yeah.
Like I remember she was gifted like these like really
Can't
really
remember
Oh, what
Oh.
the fuck?
she was wearing like she was gifted these like insane top of the line running shoes. She put them on and she was like, I'm putting my sandals on. I'm sorry. Like she kind of was like, oh well.
And honestly, I think a lot of like your athletic ability comes from like your genetics, because you can just be genetically inclined to do stuff.
Yeah, some people can dunk a basketball.
Yeah, yeah. And so, and some people are just strong. People are big, and I think, I have, a lot of Native American blood in me from my dad's side and, in the Hispanic blood. And, and I think like a lot of Hispanics and stuff are kind of prone to endurance sports, because we're a smaller build and we evolved over, especially if you're from an Indian tribe, here in the in West Texas or something that's going thousands of miles, your body's, rugged, and somewhere deep down in your genetics, you have the ability to do something like
Yeah, and they put us in offices and
that. Yeah.
on the phone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because it sucks, man. Running outside sucks,
Man, you know what? I hate to say like everything fucking sucks, but there's a lot of good shit.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of reward in that fucking suck.
Yeah, I think it's a fine balance between finding the like what's hard in life, because always a soft life and never being in any discomfort is bad too,
Being fat sucks. Being
yeah.
fit sucks.
Yeah, it's just it depends on which one you want to do.
Choosing your hard.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and so yeah, like we created air conditioning because
it's awesome.
Yeah, air conditioning's amazing. And like working in offices is great. It's I did landscaping all throughout college, man, and working out like I'll go to my office and I'm wearing a coat during the summer inside my office because the air conditioner is blasting, and but I remember working outside and in 103-degree heat. And I'm like, man, I'm not doing that today, and it sucks, but I will say like being out in the sun, and when I moved to an office, a sedentary life, when I was bigger, I got sick all the time. I was always like fighting flus.
It affects you.
Yeah, it affects you for real. And I think like people that do manual labor and stuff like that, they're healthier. They being out, getting all the vitamin D from the sun and stuff like that. And that's what like I'll get off of work at 4, and even it's hot, I get on my bike, I go ride 20 miles, 25 miles or so, and then and I notice that I'm a lot less illness prone. I feel better, my mood's better, my emotions are better. I will say as far as I've taken the sport, because I've taken it like I'm trying to start getting serious about it, losing weight, stuff like that. Because I'm at a healthy weight now, but like I want to get to like 145, which is another 20 pounds off of where I'm at now. You kind of start pushing into the extreme, so there's a balance where it's like, oh, you can have a great time and cycle, but if you want to be like athlete.
If you want to be Lance Armstrong,
Yeah,
brother.
Lance Armstrong. It's a lot of work, and it becomes a second job. So sometimes, and I'm sorry, there's days I don't want to go out. I'm like, man, this sucks. Or
I know we were talking about at the beginning, but those are the type of people I'm seeking out on this podcast.
Yeah.
Those people that are like, fuck, I'm tired, I'm sick of whatever, somebody died, I went to whatever, you still fucking do it. It's like,
you just gotta go out. And the thing too is like you always feel rewarded, afterwards, because you're like, hey man, I didn't, I pushed myself.
I'm like, hell yeah, I drink me a beer.
Yeah. Lifting 12 ounces for.
Yeah, I gotta quit doing that.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I think, but yeah, man, it's just about getting out and doing it. But it's that's what I tell people, man. Just start one day at a time, 1 foot at a time, 1 mile at a time.
One step at a time.
Yeah, just go hit a mile one day, and 1 turns to 2, and before you know it, most people can do it. Man.
There you know, you're 70 and you're 70 and you're healthy.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing too, is it's like investments now, like most things in life, you make investments now with money, it's gonna pay off in the future. You gotta invest in your body,
Definitely. That's one of the reasons why I want to work out and shit.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, like, by the time you're having cardiac issues when you're 60, it's too late.
It's too late.
Yeah, there's nothing that you can do.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of things in life are like that. Most things.
Yeah.
You gotta invest, time, and the work that you do now pays off.
That's what I tell these comedians. I'm like, you got to put in fucking 20 years, brother. You ain't gonna see it till 20 years later.
Yeah, man, that's such a great art, man. I love comedy.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it really you're talking about all this like working out, mental health, all that. It's great, but laughing.
Oh yeah,
is one of my favorite things. I think it has made my life so much more enjoyable.
Yeah,
just laughing constantly.
Yeah,
at idiots.
Yeah,
all day.
Yeah, man. I mean, I love watching comedy, and I watch a lot of comedy specials and stuff like that. And it's such a great medium.
It's amazing. I wish I was funny.
Yeah, I think the I don't know, like some society has tried to kill comedy, but I think like most people are just kind of like, no, like
society's trying to kill a lot of things,
yeah,
including
I
this
think
healthy
we're kind of
life.
coming like full circle, where like with comedy and like just with what we find humorous, it's just kind of like, I know it's fucked up, but like it was funny, it was good, you know what I mean? And I think we kind of hit like a little peak of like, we're too sensitive, we're too woke, we're being too conscious of offending, blah blah blah, and it's just kind of like, it's okay to kind of pick a little bit of at everybody. You know what I mean?
Our lives are too easy.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what I mean? It's too easy to what?
No, I flipped them off.
Oh, you got caramel on your lip.
Fuck with the conversation, man.
I already lost my train of thought.
My
but
bad.
yeah,
I didn't mean to. I just meant to just do that.
His camera went out, so no, but for real, dude, thank you for being here.
Hey man, thanks for.
it was like a little.
I hope
My
somebody
bad.
listening gets this message and takes that step.
Yeah.
Does that push up, starts that podcast, goes to do that comedy set, goes to hair school, whatever the fuck. I hope they start doing it now.
Yeah, man. I'm local here in Lubbock, so if somebody hears it and has any questions, man, I'm open to answer any questions anybody has. But,
Where can they
hey,
follow
man,
you?
They can follow me on Instagram. It's just Zeke _Arroyo ARROYO, and just DM me or something if you have any questions. I make like little reels and stuff, just kind of like documenting what I do and how I do it. So I'm gonna kind of try to grow that. So. But yeah, man, had a great time. Appreciate it, man.
This is great, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. You guys got anything?
Fools and Ghouls, October 19th. Come in all black and come on that freak shit.
Yeah, patreon.com/snakepitstudios if you guys want to contribute to this podcast. We'll see you guys next time.